Hello, very good evening. You're watching Q's News and I'm your host Moin Ahmed. Tonight we are taking a clear, honest look at the major changes the UK government has introduced to immigration under Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood. The year 2025 marks a turning point in how Britain handled asylum claims, skilled workers and illegal migration. These new rules promises tougher border control, a redesigned skilled worker system and strict pathways to settlement. But what do they actually mean for the people affected? In this program, we'll break down the new asylum regulations, the updated skilled worker requirements, and examine where most irregular migrants are coming from. We'll separate the facts from the fears, explore who benefits, who is restricted, and how these changes might reshape the UK's future. So initially, let's have a look what Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood said earlier this week in the Parliament.
Because it is of a minority. But if we fail to deal with this crisis, we must act too. We will do so by making refugee status temporary, not permanent. A grant of refugee status will last 2.5 years, not 5. It will be renewed only if it is impossible for a refugee to return home. Permanent settlement will now come at 20 years, not 5. I know this country welcomes people who contribute, and for those who want to stay and are willing and able to, we will create a new work and study visa route solely for refugees, with a quicker path to permanent settlement. To encourage refugees into work, we will also consult on removing benefits for those who are able to work but choose not to. Outside of the most exceptional circumstances, family reunion will not be possible.
So you've heard what Shabana Mahmood had said, so let's break down what the points of the new immigration system are. So initially, what are the major new immigration rules? Here are the key changes in the UK immigration system in 2025, especially around asylum seekers and skilled workers based on the government white paper and policy statement. First of all, if we talk about asylum seekers or refugees, under the proposed reforms, refugee status will no longer automatically lead to permanent settlement. Instead, asylum protected immigrations and migrants may not limited care protection status. The protection may last for 30 months before being reviewed, and after this period, the government will reassess whether the person's home country is safe or not. If it is, then he has to go back to his country. And if we talk about longer route to indefinite leave to remain, which is most common thing in the UK, a lot of people coming from around the world on this basis, and they are waiting for their ILR to be granted. And for those arriving via illegal routes, for example, small boats or overstaying visas, the qualification period of the permanent settlement may be extended to 20 years. And these are proposals to reward contribution. Refugees who studied or work in certain routes could shorten that 20 years wait. And if we talk about housing and support, the government plans to curtail the automatic right to housing and financial support for asylum seekers. So this means support could become more conditional rather than guaranteed. So if we talk about family reunion, automatically family reunification rights, which is burning independence, will be restricted under the new system. And in the next point, there are stronger emphasis on the removal of asylum seekers whose application are refused. So they have to go back to their countries rather than waiting and going for another applications. So the UK is exploring more aggressive return strategies, including expanding agreements like with France, one in, one out. And now if we talk about skilled worker visa, so there's higher threshold for them. From 22nd of July 2025, the minimum skill level required for a skilled worker visa is being raised to RQF level 6, which is roughly a bachelor's degree or equivalent. And there is a major shift in removes roughly around 180 occupation from eligibility that fails below that level. And salary minimum for eligible roles are increasing. For lower skilled worker visa, like below RKF level 6, to still be eligible to occupation must appear on temporary shortage list. And these TSL listed roles are time limited, which may set to expire at the end of the 2026 unless reviewed by the Migration Advisory Committee. And skilled worker in lower level shortage roles, which is on the TSL list, will not be allowed to bring dependents under the new rules. However, for roles at RQF level 6 or above, dependents are still permitted in the usual way. And if we talk about employers, they will not be able to require the first try to recruit from within the UK's existing pool of skilled workers before hiring internationally. And there are tougher checks on sponsor compliance to prevent misuse or exploitation. And the automatic route to indefinite leave to remain is being lengthened. Migrants have to stay 10 years before applying for settlement instead of the previous 5. And English language test, these requirements has also been tightened. For dependents applying to settlement, the English requirement will be raised over, for example, B2 level for the settlement, which was not B2 level in the past. So the immigration skill changes, a fee paid by employers sponsoring migrants is being raised by 32%. So to understand the illegal migration picture, especially small boats arriving, here is a breakdown based on the most recent data we are presenting for you. So according to the UK's government, in the year ending March 2025, there were 36,529 irregular small boats arrivals. In the year ending June 2025, the figure rose to 42,446 for irregular arrivals in total. Small boats crossing remain a dominant method for irregular entry. And the most common nationalities detected arriving irregularly, especially by the small boats, are on the top, Afghanistan, the top nationality for small boats arrival, and secondary is Eritrea, a rapidly growing proportion of crossing. Then comes Iran, Syria, and Sudan, also feature among the top 5 countries who people are coming to the UK on a small boats. So according to the Refugee Council, in the next year of March 2025, this year, 6 in 10 small boats arrived came from just 5 these countries, which is Afghanistan, Syria, Eritrean, Iranian, and Sudanese. So the Refugee Council, these are the figures we are presenting from the official database of the government. So the UK government has increased in forced return as the early of 2025, 16,400 people with no right to be in the UK was removed. So there is a one in, one out deal with France as well. Some migrants arriving illegally may be returned to France. So on the other side, critiques. They argue that the making asylum support discretionary and extending the wait for settlement for 20 years is too harsh and may put vulnerable people at risk. So the reform clearly prioritizes migrants who are economically contributing, which raising questions about how contributions is assessed. Raising English language requirements might support integration, but could also exclude many. So these are some updates which are from the new rules of immigration 2025. We will keep you updated on the latest immigration news and updates on Q's News. So stay tuned until the next time, and don't forget to subscribe our channel Q's News.